Hey guys, so this is going to be that video that some of you guys might have heard me say about yesterday in our race, that I'll try and post a little video about pit strategies and how to try to simplify it into a structure that is simple and easy for us to choose our um, choose what we want with it, like, with regards to tires, quickly as we enter the pit. Uh, yeah, so I'm just going to go over this video as best as I can. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not very good at these. I've not really done them before. So I'm just going to try and go over it as best as I can. So I'm going to start. Well, you're going to want to start off doing a solo race. Now I'm going to set a practice on of 10 minutes, just so it gives me enough time, hopefully, to go over the pit strategy screen when we get into the practice session. Hopefully 10 minutes will be enough to try and get some bits in this video for you guys to understand. Some of you guys, I'm pretty sure, are going to understand the pit strategies, but there's a lot of us that don't, i.e. what happened yesterday, and we were racing in the dry and it started to rain. We pitted in wanting to get wets. Some of us got wets, some of us didn't. Someone got one wet tyre and three slicks, and it was just not funny. It was funny, but it wasn't. So hopefully this video will try to rectify um, these issues with not getting the tyres that you want for the for the you know the for what's going on in the race at the time. Now, it doesn't matter what track you're on, and it doesn't matter what car you're in at this point. Um, so I'm just going to go, straight into. I'm just going to go straight into here, so we can start going over the pit strategy window. All right, so yeah, so pretty much from here, you're just going to want to go straight into uh, edit pit strategy. Now, if you've got a list of stuff in this window, I would recommend you to delete it. Literally click on this, um, delete this, and keep deleting it until you get to this one. And even if you delete this one, it won't actually go away. It will always stay there. Now this default one, um, if you've got a list of stuff here, this is the one that will always default to in every car, and every track will always follow this one. Now, and every time you go into the pit, you get the little box that pops up down here, and it will say edit current setup, and it should say, well, for me it should say default, because this is what it will come up with. Now, for what was happening the other day is, I think we were going into the pits, and this will always be set, and for me this is what we've got, and this is what it should be for you as a default setup. So we were going into the pits after it started raining. This is what was selected for a large proportion of us, and this is what was also active. And if it wasn't active, oh no, if this isn't the one that you thought it was, I'll go through this in a moment, but it probably wasn't um, if you had a wet setup, sorry, it probably wasn't active, because this one will always be set as active all of, every race, every track, any car. It will always, whenever you go into the pit, this is what it will always be set to as default. Now for my default setup, um, I'm going to rename it to standard, because it interferes with what I'm about to do in a moment. So my standard pit strategy is just going to be, basically, in general, when us guys race, we tend to do a practice, qualify, and then anything between 4 and 10 laps of a track. Now, as long as we've got fuel and tyre usage on real, um, a set of medium tyres or slicks should last us that long, theoretically speaking. You know, it shouldn't last. They should last 6 laps. So I'm not going to expect if we do a mandatory. Yeah, sorry. If we do a mandatory pit, um, you're not going to want to change your tyres because one, you're going to come out the pit with cold tyres. Two, you're going to be longer spent in the pit changing your tyres. Um, and three, it's just pointless because you've lost all of the heat in your tyre. If you know what I mean, basically. So as my standard setup, which all this game will always fall back to, I'm going to want this to be no, because no, well, for me, 70 to 80% of the time, we drive in the dry, and this is the scenario that I'm going to want to happen. Now, this fuel refill bar here, for some of you, it might be up here. In this case, for the Formula Rookie, that's its maximum capacity. It can only hold 33 litres of fuel. Every car is different. For some of you, this might already be up to the top, and you might click these buttons and or try to move this slider and nothing happens. Now that's because when we go back to this screen, when you go to edit tuning setup and you move to your fuel load, this is going to be dependent. This part of the setup is going to will be dependent on track. So basically, what you're going to probably want to do is, as a baseline default, you're just going to want to have fuel, full fuel, as a as a baseline for every track, and then obviously once you find out how much fuel you're getting through per lap per track, you can adjust this accordingly. So for now, I recommend everyone who's not sure, who's still unsure of the pit strategies and stuff, to literally keep all of this as is, and we're going to save that. Now if we go back to pit strategy, and then I go to back to this one, now this is what I was talking about. So now I click these, nothing's happening, because that's what I'm going to be going out with. So what's going to happen is, for this particular setup, so yeah, I was going to call it standard. So yeah, for this particular baseline, this is going to be for every car. So for example, if I jumped in a McLaren F1 and it holds 90 litres, that's what it will say, literally 90 litres, and then you can adjust it accordingly in the tuning setup per car. But as I was saying before, for my baseline standard, for the races that we tend to have, social general races in the dry, we're not going to want tyres changed. That's just, like I said earlier, with regards to the laps and the time and the 6 laps, it's just going to be a waste. So this is what I'm going to have, and I think this is what you should set as a baseline. Damage I always have on yes. They won't repair this unnecessarily, so if you don't damage any of this and you come into the pits, they won't touch this. So if you damage any of these, obviously they will just repair the one that's damaged and not all of them. So yeah, once we're going over that, so we're going to have no tyres change. It wouldn't matter anyway if I did change these, because they're still not going to change them. So I've renamed that to standard, and then I'm going to save that. Now basically, what you're going to want to do next, or for my next case scenario with this game, is it's either dry or it's wet, or it goes from wet to dry. So you're going to want setups for those scenarios. So for your next setup, you're going to want dries, for it to be dry, because you're going to be going out in slicks, or if you've got the if we start a race and it's already raining, the computer should give you the appropriate tyres for the current weather in the session. So if we do a practice session, or a qualifying session or racing, it's already raining at the grid, we should all be in the tyres appropriate for that weather. So if it's raining and then it stops raining, we're going to want to go dries. But if it's dry and it starts raining, we're going to want to set up for wet. So we're going to go over dry setup first. So what I'm going to do is say, yes, I want my tyres changed, please. Now I'm not too sure if this is the same for every car. I'm not too sure if every car has extreme wets, intermediate, softs, medium, hard. You know, this might only come under the category of the Formula Open Wheel Series. But for a dry day, um, you I'm going to go medium. You can go soft, you can go hard, but on a dry day, you're going to want anything but wets. So I'm just going to stick with medium for now. And same again, this is going to be according to what you set per session. So if I set this for this particular race I'm doing now, if I say I only want to carry 10 litres, this will come down by itself, and then they will only refill. Well, yeah, we'll go over this part another time, maybe in another video, but for the fuel refill, we're just going to want, a lot of the people just go from the pit, from practice to qualifying, and just leave the pit and go straight on track without messing around with this. So that's why I'm just going to try and keep everything as simple as possible for the moment. So again, fixed damage, etc. I'm going to have on. So this is my dry setup. Yes, change tyres. I want dry tyres, please. Mediums. Thank you. Save that. Right, now we've got two setups. So now we're going to want to create another setup. Now for this I'm going to call this one wet, for obvious reasons again. And again, yes, all the tyres changed, and I would very much like some wet tyres, please, for when this happens. So we're going to go wets. Yes, please, I want changed tyres. Save this one, and why not create one for extreme wet. So we're going to have extreme wet. And again, yes, change tyres. I'm going to save that. Now, just as a quick demo, I will the video will cut out. Basically, I'm going to go around and do a lap, and I'm going to come into the pit, and then the video should carry on from me just entering the pit and then going over the window that comes down here. So at this moment, you're going to keep things as is. Once you've set up these and followed basically what I just done, we're going to back out of here, and then we're going to drive. Yeah, so I've got slicks on. So in a moment, once I've gone around and done a lap, I'll come back to the pit strategy. Now that I'm approaching the pit, I'm going to get in here, and I'm going to, yeah, so basically this screen's popped up now. Now we've got what we said before. The standard thing was at the top, so I'm just going to pause that for a minute. So yeah, when I come in the pit, you can rewind the video obviously. When I come in the pit, the top at the box where it says edit current was the standard setup. So now, as you can see, I was literally in and out. I don't need my tyres changed. That's good. And this is what was happening to us the other day when it started to rain. So people had come into the pit expecting the pit drivers to know what we wanted, which was wets. But that wasn't our strategy set. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around the track again. The video will cut out again, but I'll do what I just done a minute ago, and I'll bring the video back to just me coming into the pits, and then I've got to be quick, but I'm going to change my strategy to wets. So we'll go do that. So we're coming into the pit, see if I can slow right down. Right, so I'm coming into the pit, and we're going to be coming up to the box at the bottom left. So we're going to come in. Alright, now this box, now you're going to want to view saved. In multiplayer, this unfortunately doesn't happen. The game is now paused. So it gives you time to choose what you want. In multiplayer, you've got to be quick. So you're going to want to go to dependent on whether it's drizzling, and this is where you're going to want to make a prediction. Is it raining, and is it going to stop raining? So is it just going to get wet, the track? You're going to want your wets on, but is it going to rain, and then is it going to continue raining and get extremely wet? And then you can make the choice at this moment, if it was raining, as to what you want. So I'm going to go activate wets. Like I said before, this doesn't happen in multiplayer, it doesn't pause, so you've got to do this quick. So once you get to this screen, the car in the background would still be moving, and you're going to want to go to wets and activate that as quickly as you can. And now you're going to back out, and as long as it says edit current wet there before you get to the pit, you will, this is what should happen. So as you can hear, the tyres are getting changed.
There's some sort of electrical failure with the engine. We're just plugging in now. We're going to try and get this sorted and get you on your way.
Didn't expect this to happen, but hopefully, there we go. So now I've got wets. So as long as everyone sets up the strategies as I showed in the video, every time we go into the pits, no matter what car we're in, we are in, we can just choose those setups dependent on the weather. Obviously, for the other guys that want to change their fuel levels for tracks and stuff, you know, that's fine. But this is for just a basic video on how to get pit strategies. But whilst I'm in here, I'm going to change car just to see if it varies for road cars. You know, you don't get a road car with intermediates or slicks. Well, they do, but I don't know if it would count in road cars. Maybe that's something I'd have to go and test out on another video. But from this screen, I mean, that's your tyre compounds there, which is for this particular car. So I don't believe the I don't believe the other ones work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just change my setup to wets just to see what happens quick. So I'm going to go do a lap. The video will cut out again, and I'm going to go do a lap, come into the pits, and let's see if they change tyres to wets. And then if that's the case, then as I said before, you'll have a setup, 4 setups there ready for no matter what car you're in. So it just makes things a bit more streamlined. So I'm going to go do a lap quick, and I will come back to the pit.
Go, go, go!
Alright, so I'm just coming to the pit again. Alright, so I set that as in the pit strategy to be as my active, so I'm just going to hear if they change tyres. It's refueling. Hey, there we go. So, yeah, so these strategies would work for no matter what car. So hopefully that's solved a few things. So now I should have, I've got, oh yeah, I've got wets on now and it's dry. So yeah, hopefully that has solved a few things. But yeah, feel free to ask any other questions if I've missed something. But yeah, fingers crossed that's solved a few of the problems that we've experienced, and once we've got those all set up in our pit strategies, it should be a lot more streamlined and a lot more straightforward for us to get our tyres sorted for the conditions, obviously, or the track conditions and the weather. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me, guys. Sorry it was quite long-winded and you had to put up with me for 10-15 minutes or whatnot, but I hope it's helped out a little bit. But yeah, thanks for watching anyway, guys, and yeah, fingers crossed it's going to help some of you out. Alright, cheers.